I'll cut to the chase. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen on PSP is horrible. Far worse than the DS version. Perhaps the worst Transformers game since Convoy no Nazo. I mean, I've tried. I have for literal years to play this game, and I can't. I truly can't. It mystifies me to no bound how a game in 2009, not 1983, not even 1995, no goddamn 2009, could be this broken. So let's think for a moment. What's one of the defining features of Transformers? The thing that made them so popular? The gimmick behind the toy line? Was it A, transforming, B, transforming, or C, transforming? That's right, it was C, transforming. So, a main gameplay component in a Transformers game is typically what? That's right, transforming. And in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen on PSP, what's the one really important aspect they stripped away? That's fucking right, transforming. It's a Transformers game where you can't transform. What's the point? How do you even fuck this up? The DS Revenge of the Fallen had it. So did every other game. Hell, the first DS game had like 1 trillion different vehicle options. It can't have been that hard. They could have made a stripped down version of the console game, like the DS ports of Transformers 1. But instead we get this pathetic pile of slop. You may think that's harsh, but I'm pissed. I have fucking trauma with this game. It was one of the first games I got on my PSP, so I played it for hours, never getting very far, because it's just terrible. But why, you may ask? What could this game possibly do so wrong? Well, to start with, it's one of the most generic types of arcade style game. A top-down shooter. Now, I don't think they're always inherently bad. Hell, one of my most viewed videos is Glazing Game Ground, and if you haven't already, go watch that. Yeah, if you're doing a top-down shooter, there is a very exquisite balance that has to be kept between ensuring it isn't far too difficult, as many are, as well as making sure it remains entertaining past the third screen. This game does neither of those things. Hell, it practically flips off any notion of good game design that comes its way. Starting with the player. Well, there are, and I'll praise the game for this, a decent amount of playable characters. Unfortunately, you want to play as none of them. There's medium, light and heavy, and they all have different stats in firepower, endurance and agility. Fairly self-explanatory. Pick the character which most matches the playstyle you're best at utilising. Problems kind of pile up though when you actually go to use any input, because regardless of character, it'll always be bad. So in your arsenal you have a weak continuous blast that you can pelt out forever, the world's most delayed 3-strike melee combo, which locks you in place, and a unique missile tag to each character. Although most of the time it is just a difference in appearance rather than functionality. If you thought that didn't really sound like it offered much in game variety, well, you'd be right, and the devs thought that too, because when you collect enough energon from enemies, you can activate a super mode or something, so yeah, I mean, ooh, variety. Strewn across the levels are different classic top-down shooter power-ups. Health regens, double blasts, spread shots, it's all there, and like any other game of its kind, you probably want to pick up the double over the spread. Before we move on to enemies, let's just take a quick look at the character stats and what's important. Firepower. It's firepower. Agility is pointless, endurance matters maybe a little, but in my experience health feels kind of the same for every character. Agility impacts movement speed and perhaps the shitty dodge, which might honestly be the worst dodge ever implemented into a game. Like, look at this. Just like the melee, it locks you in place, and it has a massive delay, and honestly, never did I ever find myself in a situation it really helped in. It can only move in some like 2 directions in this 3D 360 degree top-down shooter. All you need is endurance and firepower, but they'll only get you so far against this lot.
Not so fast there, sport.
The last shot at this game having any redeeming qualities lay with these guys, and they just had to fuck it up too. So what do we have here? Well, we have small guys that punch, small guys that shoot, slightly bigger guys that punch, slightly bigger guys that shoot, huge guys that punch, huge guys that shoot, trucks, bigger trucks, and these satanic turrets. I can't stand these things. They're everywhere and they fire non-stop across the whole screen. You can't even get close to attack them because you have to deal with all the guys flooding the area and punching you. Two Revenge of the Fallen games on portable consoles, both with turrets designed by jackasses. At the very start of the game, it's mostly just the small guys and they're pretty easy to kill, especially when you get a power up. Unfortunately, a few levels in and it starts to look like this. Enemies flood the screen coming from every angle, attacking you from places you can't even see, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they just begin to respawn no matter how many times you kill them, so it becomes near impossible to move on to the next area and continue the mission, because you always have a train of enemies following you. Quick side note, you ever hear what they used to call a line of zombies like that in COD? Google it. What was the internet's problem back then? Anyway, when it's only the small guys coming back, you can kinda just spin and melt them. But once they add the bigger guys, Jesus Christ, most projectiles don't do too much damage to you. Your biggest problem is having enemies punching you, because even the little dudes do insane damage. That's one of the reasons you can't melee. If you do it, it stops you in place, and there's no guarantee your attack will even land. So you just end up sitting there while enemies surround you and beat you to death. Oh, and I'd like to mention, no invincibility frames when you get knocked down, so expect a lot of this. The game also has no checkpoints and uses a life system. You die, you spawn right back where you were. Surely this must have been a mistake. Something that slipped through testing, right? You can't honestly tell me a group of devs, no matter how overworked or underpaid, looked at this death system and thought, oh yeah, oh man, that's real good. No. It doesn't matter how many lives you have. You die once and you're done for. There's millions of enemies, all immediately on you, and you probably have half, maybe a third of the firepower you just had, which already wasn't enough to beat them. The game doesn't even have any full variety, you know, where a game will be like, go pick up the thing, and it'll just be really another make it to the end of the level type deal, but maybe you pick up an item on the ground and you get a little icon on the screen. It doesn't even frame things as interesting. The most unique thing I did was blow up some comms towers. However, there is one level type that introduces a little variety. Driving levels. No fucking way. By the time you play one of these, you genuinely forget this game's even Transformers related. Oh, shit. But never mind, these are pretty terrible. They're basically the same as the main game, but just on rails and in a different perspective. Well, it was fun while it lasted, folks. The game features a rank system as well. There's some bonus content locked behind it, like concept art, and a few G1 episodes. I believe this was all in the console version, and it's pretty cool they put it in the PSP, but there's no way I'm getting gold on 25 missions to unlock the ultimate doom. The game has a couple of bosses, but most of them aren't notable. They're pretty much just normal enemies, but with even bigger health bars. Well, maybe there are notable ones, but I certainly never reached them, because I quit. Yeah, again. I know it doesn't reflect very well on my willpower, but I have a finite amount of time on this earth, and I don't really want to spend a second more on this game. It's partially my fault though. I keep picking terrible games to review, so I'll try and do something good for the next one. Hopefully. As for this video, well, I'm not sure there's much I can add. I could discuss the story. There was apparently multiplayer too, but I'm not sure how I go about playing that in the year 2025. Oh, and I think I saw a survival mode in the menu. Oh man, it really is like COD Zombies. I can't wait to see how long I can get my rate.